And Nick here, and I have just seen a tweet from Chris Johnston, very well-known figure in the hockey community, that Nino Niederreiter and the Nashville Predators are agreeing to a trade with the Winnipeg Jets. So an in-division trade where the winger Nino Niederreiter, who's been very up and down this season, would become a Winnipeg Jet. And the Jets had been kind of linked to some interest in Timo Meier. Perhaps the asking price was too high, despite some good assets that the Jets could move over to Winnipeg. And so we're going to get some more information on this deal very shortly. So welcome in here, everybody. We are covering the trade deadline and other big stories throughout the NHL season and postseason. So make sure you're tuned in. Hey, everybody, we got Rosado, Logan, Michael, Egg Doggo. How you doing, man? Thanks so much for hopping in here. I just saw this a moment ago, so I thought I would report on it. Nino Niederreiter almost perennially gets moved somewhere, but he does create some good impact with where he goes. So we got to take a look at how he can maybe have an impact on the Winnipeg Jets, as they have needed a little bit more punch. You saw recently they got kind of steamrolled there by the Colorado Avalanche, and that seems to be a topic happening very recently in the NHL. By the way, guys, apologies for the weird frame rate. If it looks a little slow right now, not sure exactly what happened. I'll have to troubleshoot my $800 camera soon enough. Spencer Knight, all I know is that he's going through the player assistance program, but that could certainly explain something. That could certainly do so. Anyway, I'm going to make sure I get a ticker up on board here as well, because then that way we can show the terms of the deal shortly. So one sec here. So terms of the deal to be released shortly. Stay tuned. All righty. We'll scroll that along the bottom. All right. Cool. Matt Duchene getting traded. Are you for real? Is that what's happening right now? Are you kidding me? You're not just pulling my leg, are you? Yeah, Winnipeg acquiring Nino Niederreiter. That Friedman's also confirming that. Nino Niederreiter, his JFresh card, by the way, guys, is a very lovely 90% wins above replacement percentage. So even though the goals haven't been there for him, unless they're playing the San Jose Sharks, Niederreiter has still created plenty of chances out there. You're thinking the Rangers are going to get Patrick Kane? Look at that. They cleared some cap space today by waiving Vitaly Kravtsov, or by sending him over to the Vancouver Canucks for not all that much, though. That was kind of odd to see. But anyway, I appreciate your patience here while we wait for the terms of this deal. And also, I do have to kind of make some updates here to the stream, because I create this through StreamYard, and that's all boring. But anyway, how are you guys doing this weekend, by the way? You envision him getting traded. Okay. When is Kane going to be traded? I mean, he's now out of the lineup. So it's happening before the deadline. I don't know if it'll be before then, though. But the Rangers making some cap space with Kravtsov over to Vancouver. And I know that also Chicago has scratched, I believe, Jake Leschyshyn. So things could get very interesting this weekend. This actually might have more. We might see more movement with this weekend with deals than we did with than we actually do with Friday's trade deadline. That's what I'm trying to say. So hold on a sec, everybody. I'm going to see if I can get my screen up here, so then we can refresh Twitter and do all that sort of thing. Yeah. Let's see. Present. Share screen. Hey, how you doing, Bruce? When's Chikrin getting traded? Yeah, I mean, you thought that it would have already happened right now, wouldn't you? Let's see your home Twitter. That should be the one. All right, let's see if this does something for us here. All right. So we're going to get the old Twitter feed loaded up here. Is he a UFA? No, Niederreiter has one more year left on his contract at about $4 million. So it's actually a pretty reasonable deal. You know, the Jets had also been rumored to have interest in Timo Meier, and Meier would have been an RFA next year, or at the end of the season. So the Jets would have held on to him most likely for another year. So that's kind of the case here with Niederreiter. Let's take a look at his contract. I know that he's going to show up as still a Predator here on cap friendly. So Niederreiter has one more year left at $4 million. And for a guy who can fit into your middle six, That's great. And he's somebody who I would imagine will be a good fit there in the sense that he has bounced around quite a bit in his career. He's, before going to Nashville, he played for Carolina, he played for Florida, he played for Minnesota. So he's done pretty well in his environments over the years. Oh, interesting. It only goes from tab to tab. Let me take a look at how Niederreiter is doing on the season, guys. And we'll keep refreshing Twitter to see what the terms of this deal are. Hey, Riley, how you doing, man? Hope you're having a great weekend. About Chicago, San Jose. Kind of sucks that Meier and Kane aren't playing, but there you go. It's the tankathon, man. The Sharks are inching a little bit closer to having at least a top 3 pick in the draft. Like they're basically tied with Chicago. Chicago, I think, has a slight edge. So yeah, look at Nino Niederreiter here. Over his career, he's played for New York, the Islanders, Minnesota. That's where he spent the bulk of his career. Couple seasons in Carolina. I thought he also played for Florida at one point. My mistake. But he is going to his 5th team, though. This season, he has 18 goals. Although, again, he's been very hot and cold this year from what I've seen. But 28 points despite averaging 16 minutes of time on ice. And a Predators team that just hasn't attacked all that well this season. So he's done decently well. You can see here that he takes care of the puck well enough, at least from the numbers here. Has a positive. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us, man. Hope you're doing fantastic and are excited to wrap up your reverse retro collection. But yeah, Niederreiter's doing just fine for a Predators team that just hasn't offensively had the same punch they did last year. Last year was such a watershed moment, I thought. And then things have just fallen apart instantly this year. One player getting bounced around. Yeah, for sure, Vanessa. Hope you're having a great weekend. All right, let's see. Do we have a finalization on the deal? Not quite yet, I don't think. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hopping in here with me. I'm planning to do a trade deadline stream on March 3rd if there are still big moves to be made. So make sure you stay in the know, hit the thumbs up. That way we get as many great hockey fans like yourselves here coming at you on a weekend. I was actually working on the next sudden death video. We do have one releasing on March 1st, by the way, Sudden Death Sports. Make sure to check that out if you haven't already. All right. What is Twitter telling us, everybody? And let me know, guys, is Kane a done deal to the New York Rangers, or could he possibly be open to a trade somewhere else? Also today, of course, Vitaly Kravtsov being dealt to the Vancouver Canucks for not a bag of pucks, but not much more than that. Also, Jordy Ben and Vinny Lettieri have been placed on waivers. So some teams are looking to be a little bit more cap compliant, perhaps. Nothing close on the Gavrikov trade front, from what I'm seeing here. Kane to Vegas. Hey, I mean, they need to make a big splash if they want to take advantage of possibly having home ice for the whole playoffs. They would have to do that. Am I wearing a Sens jersey? Oh, no, my friend. This is navy blue. I am wearing the greatest Jets jersey of all time. That's not the Thrashers. And it is the Heritage Classic jersey that they wore, I think, in 2019 against Calgary. This one's amazing. Is Cortana okay? Yeah. Here, let's. I don't know if I can actually cut to her because my cord here doesn't have much slack. But there's Cortana, and she's now 7 weeks through surgery, and she literally can run around now. It's amazing. I don't think she's allowed to, but I'm letting her do it because she needs to get out some of that energy, and yeah, she's in great shape. Thank you for asking. Kane lowering the price of himself just for the Rangers. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's, again, being such a fixture for that franchise for so many years. You would think that basically he and Davidson would say, all right, well, Davidson would say, we're going to do everything we can to give you a chance to play for a Stanley Cup in New York. And Kane would say, okay, look, I know you're not going to trade me for nothing. And besides, I want to be traded for something because, Kane wants to actually feel the value that he's worth. So the weird thing, though, is that the Rangers aren't really open to trading that that first round pick that they still have from the Dallas Stars. That's what really boggles my mind. It's like you got to give up something to get something in return. They absolutely have to do that. One and two, you also have to consider that, um, New Jersey and Carolina, they haven't made their big moves at the trade deadline just yet, and you know that they will. Almost kind of surprising that Niederreiter didn't go to New Jersey because they're looking for a winger, and Niederreiter is Swiss, and so he could have potentially played with somebody like a Nico Hischier and Jonas Siegenthaler. But of course, they got their eye on another Swiss player in Meier. Just a sec here. I'm just making sure I have everything configured okay. Teams with poorly constructed defense can't do well in the playoffs. I mean, look at Edmonton last year. The Rangers are not so good. Yeah, their last 18 games, Shesterkin hasn't been particularly good. It is a bit alarming. They've returned the same cast of characters for the most part. Still looking for updates here. We'll keep a tab on this, though, most definitely. Nino Niederreiter, huh? On the move once again. Just want to make sure I spelled his name right here. Niederreiter. Yeah. NHL Trade Deadline talk, yeah. I'll just put Patrick Kane in the title, too. Timo Meier as well. There we go. Keyword stuff it. Patrick Kane or Timo Meier be traded today. There you go, YouTube algorithm. Do your magic, please. Who's next? Exactly. I think the next big piece, even though Chikrin's been out of the lineup for, God, it seems like at least a week or so, I think that Patrick Kane, like all the momentum leans toward a Patrick Kane deal, I think. And I think that with this move, Winnipeg is out of the Timo Meier race. I think the asking price has probably been too high. So that would, Samantha, by the way, I didn't see you. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for hopping in here. So yeah, I think that Kane might be the next big piece. And I think that probably with Timo Meier, it comes down to, Riley, I just can't see the Sharks making a deal with Vegas being in the division, and the Knights just don't. They have draft picks that they can give up, but if I'm the new general manager for the Sharks, I want prospects, and the Knights don't have anywhere near as strong of a prospect base as New Jersey or even Carolina. Plus, like the Sharks wouldn't trade Meier to somebody in their division if he was going to stay there for the rest of his career, essentially. So I don't think so. Patrick Kane to the Preds. I mean, the Preds, would they make this move in an effort to acquire a different winger? I mean, Kane is $6.5 million more expensive than Nino Niederreiter, so I just can't imagine that happening. In other words, the Preds are kind of cutting their losses. They're barely hanging on to not a wild card spot. They're not even in the playoffs. They're a few points out. Like, they're not going to make it. Nothing about them convinces me. So what Nashville doing right now is what Washington also did by sending Dmitry Orlov and Garnet Hathaway to a contender. So I think that that's smart for Nashville, especially for David Poile. Even though he's been there forever, and so he wants to position this as like kind of a retool, reload sort of situation so that they can have a better opportunity, a better go at it next year, possibly. If Kane goes to New York, do I think Panarin and Kane will terrorize the league once again? Well, the projection would be that Panarin is still going to play with Tarasenko, but actually, no. Yeah, how would you not put those two together? Panarin, Tarasenko, and Kane? No, you can't do that because they're all wingers. So yeah, that's very interesting. The thought of the line combinations there, because you would think that Kane would just go right to the top line with Mika and Kreider. So I'm not sure. Looking at Florida in the same position. Yeah, that's a good point. I think I've heard, people, maybe yourself, talking about that in the Flying Fluffy chats. But yeah, Florida's done. They're just done. You can't beat Buffalo. This point in the season, you're done. For this year. And that's good because they just have way too much on their plate with the draft picks that they're missing. And yeah, it's been a hard season for them. Like I'm upset by how it's gone for sure. Of course, I do have to think that Paul Maurice has something to do with that. Anyway, can you see them doing the same? Yeah, I mean, Axiom, you guys got to get draft picks, and I think Reinhart is still good enough to fetch a first round draft pick from a contender. I would say. Interesting. I guess Nino Niederreiter's name doesn't carry the same weight that Tarasenko does because it's crazy. Like when we did the Tarasenko trade here on YouTube, we had like 230 people here at once. But anyway, it's great chatting with you because I know I haven't streamed since then, obviously. And like I said, we're gonna do March 3rd. I've got the stream scheduled for what is it, 11 a.m. Eastern, so 8 Pacific for me. But guys, like definitely hit the notification bell if you haven't already, because I might go live sooner than that. Like when I wake up, I might do that. I just don't want to commit to being up that early and working. But yeah. All right, let's see if there's an update on this trade here, huh? Do I think that the Bruins will pick up Kane? I just can't. I mean, that's a ton of cap space they would have to clear. How if you're the Bruins, how do you clear like what 10? Like I don't know if they're right at the cap, but I would assume they are. Oh, it's a 2024 second rounder, dude. Winnipeg got that for a steal. Interesting. Niederreiter, who's got 1 year left at $4 million, a point every other game for just a second. He's got 1 year left at this point. And he's got 25 points. Hey, that's a good point. Hockey jerk. Just a second round pick, dude. That is a steal for the Jets. You don't think that Chikrin's been traded? Yeah, Raymond, it is official. Or excuse me. Yes. If you believe Elliott Freeman, it is official. So it's a second round pick. I wouldn't be surprised if something else was part of this deal. That's a very low return. If I'm Kevin Shoveldayoff, that's not. I don't. That's I think a bit of a excuse me, having a hard time speak. It's a bit of a steal, don't you think? All right, let's see here. So Winnipeg traded for 2024, by the way. Typing this up to the Predators in exchange for Nino Niederreiter. I have a Niederreiter jersey actually from his time in Minnesota. It was the script jersey, right, with that beautiful ward mark. Nino Niederreiter. What did we see for his? He had 18 goals and 10 assists. Almost some Kirill Marchenko numbers. He's 30 years old, so he's not going to get any better, but he's not going to get much worse, right? On his contract at $4 million. That's it, man. $4 million. That's a great deal, I think. Really is, and you know, if he's not a good fit there, you can flip him and get at least a second in return. Pretty good stuff, guys. On Orlov to the Bruins, that was beastly. I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, for them to have Orlov and Lindholm and McAvoy, it's almost like giving them the Stanley Cup at this point, honestly. Will I do anything for Chicago, San Jose? No, I'm just going to watch it myself. I want to soak it all in, man. I might be talking about that a little bit for like our members or something like that. I'm not sure though. How's Jesse feeling? He's got to be pretty amped up. Actually, you know what? Let's search for Jesse. Let's see how he's doing. Hey, you get nothing. Let's see here. Yeah. Here we go. We got a Jesse. Let's go. Read that out loud in his voice. Okay. Cute. All right. Let's see here. A second round pick is all the Jets had to give up. That's a great deal for them. Keith Kincaid, a little insurance to the Bruins goaltending situation. Yes, O. Nyquist, you are correct, good sir. And then here's his kind of scorecard. So Niederreiter, his market value is $5.4 million. So he's actually, outperforming his contract. At least this card from The Athletic says that. I mean, those are all really, really good numbers for your middle six, right? When the rest of your team isn't really providing much offense in the first place. Kincaid is now an Av. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Thomas. I got that backwards. I mean, the Avs could use that in that they've had lots of goaltending injuries over the years. Kieran asks, Puljujärvi. I don't have any strong feelings about him being on the move necessarily. If the Oilers wanted to get Chychrun, I could see Puljujärvi being a Coyote, though. You were saying with the Oilers, you need some help on the blue line. Any idea who they should try to get? Yeah, I don't know if Chychrun's necessarily the best fit for that. Like, I think they need someone who can maybe keep pace if they have to play the Avalanche in the conference final again. They need somebody who can skate well. I'm not saying Chychrun can't, but you got to have that combination of somebody who can skate and somebody who I think is a little bit more of a stay-at-home defenseman. But Chychrun is still a name that they should pursue. When's Kane coming home? To the Sabres? Hey, you never know, right? Like, that's the thing. I don't know how the Sabres haven't been talked up more in the last couple of weeks because they've stayed the course. They're in a playoff spot. If you look at points percentage, or if you look at total points minus games played, you get like a plus rating, like they're +8 or whatever, +7. I don't see how they're not, they have so much they can deal away. They have a ton of cap space, a ton. They've got like the third most in the NHL. They've got the best prospect pool in the NHL as it's been rated. Like, why aren't the Sabres buying big? I think they should really be doing that to actually secure their chances of getting a wild card. Niederreiter's a perfect fit for the Jets. Here, I'll make sure to click these so that they come up in the stream. A strong power forward. Yeah, he does play with a little nastiness too. I didn't know he had that in his game until last year. And the Jets needed some more depth there. Yeah, I mean, the asking price was perfect. Maybe the Jets could have traded away a first and someone like Chaz Lucius for Timo Meier. That might have been the asking price. But when you're only giving up a second rounder and you get Niederreiter for another year, or you can, trade him for even better value, that's a great move. I think that's a great move. And they need to do that to, stay alive in the playoff picture too. With the way that, they've been kind of tailing a little bit recently. And of course, you have the Avalanche. They're back. You can tell. The Jets can drop Wheeler. There you go. Yeah, that is a possibility. You'll have some more speed at that point in the lineup. About time for the Sabres to end their 12-year rebuild. Exactly, Simon. Exactly. Sabres would be in on Taves. They need defensive forwards. Yeah, that's true. Would have been really interesting if they ended up if they had made a push for O'Reilly, given that he's played there before. The Rangers with Kane. I mean, look at that top six, right? Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin, Tarasenko, Trocheck, and Kane. It's almost like an all-star team. And I think and especially when you look at the Rangers, how Shesterkin hasn't been quite himself. I don't know how much you attribute that to the defense, but they need a little bit more punch. I think the Rangers are a team that doesn't quite. I mean, it is maybe a reflection on the strategies from Gallant, but the Rangers, there's no reason why they shouldn't score more goals. And so if you were to add somebody like Patrick Kane to that mix, he don't care about anything on the other side of the blue line behind him, So that could be a great match for them. Not to mention two incredible power play units. Hey, what's going on, Evan? How we doing? Speaking of Rangers, if you want to be tracking the whole Patrick Kane situation and following the Rangers as they make a deep playoff push this year, see my guy over here, Core Python. I want you to head to his channel and drop that man a sub and make sure you hang out with him sometime. Evan's a friend of the channel. We go back a few years now. Bruins are still the team to beat from the East. Yeah. When your defense now adds Dmitry Orlov, who he's kind of like in that conversation with Jared Spurgeon, and I would say Brian Dumoulin. I know he's kind of tailed off this year, or maybe the last couple of years, but like Dmitry Orlov never got enough love in Washington because he played on the same team as John Carlson, and Carlson put up the points. But like Orlov has been one of the better shutdown defensemen for the last several years, really. It's been a crazy few days. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carolina, though, yeah. I mean, Carolina beat Boston last year. The Hurricanes still, they're missing something, though. And with Pacioretty being injured, that really stings, too. So that's why I think that the Canes should be pushing for Timo Meier or Patrick Kane as much as a team like the Devils could be right now. Yes, the Orlov. Yes, my friend. Hey, by the way, Rails, how you feeling about the Kings? God dang it, man. A little bit ahead of schedule, aren't you guys? Hey, Danelle, how you doing, man? Good. I mean, it's the trade deadline. It's one of the most exciting times of the year. So happy to be chatting with you guys here. The Coyotes going to win the cup this year. 2036 Stanley Cup champions. Absolutely. Sharks get Bedard and the Rangers win the cup and you're happy. There we go. Timo is a scratchy healthy scratch tonight. Bigger Goon, Tiger Williams, or Ty Domi. Not sure. I wasn't watching hockey back then, so I can't really make up can't really give you an honest response. How you doing, Mickey? No love for the blockbuster that's the Kravtsov trade. Hey, why did you guys get like a bag of pucks for Kravtsov? Was it really that bad of a situation for him? AZ Sports Guy? Yeah, well, why don't you ask him yourself? He's putting out content just about every day. Our friend Matthew Jacobson. Yeah, and Timo has missed a couple of games. He's been actually a little banged up. So they're just making sure that he's 100% for when he's going to become a Carolina Hurricane. Probably a New Jersey Devil, but we'll see. Yeah, Avs have been savage recently. I haven't watched them. Part of it is because they're one of the blackout teams for me. You know, it gets blacked out when I try to watch them. I get, NHL66.ir. We all know that, right? About your hometown teams, do the Rangers do another trade? I mean, if they're going to trade for Patrick Kane, I think that they'll stand pat after that. But yeah, they cleared up some cap space today, so they're going to do something, right? Do the Islanders? Yeah, what do the Islanders do? I mean, I said this a month ago when I was talking about buyers and sellers. Lou Lamoriello is the biggest head scratch in NHL management. I think he should flip Horvat to somebody else at this point. If they make the playoffs, it's by the skin of their teeth, and they get to face Boston or even Carolina in the first round. I just don't see anything happening in the way of good. But the Devils, oh yeah, the Devils are in great position to land a big fish, and it could be from San Jose. A real big fish. Decent band. Seattle fell off hard. Yeah, they have been sliding quite a bit. I mean, they're still very comfortably in a playoff spot, but they better watch out. Not like Calgary's going to challenge, though. I mean, those guys cannot hold a damn lead, as you probably found out recently. Cole, what's going on? As a Hawks fan, this Patrick Kane stuff is rough. He's your favorite Blackhawk for the longest time. That's true. You know, everybody's got to part ways with their favorite player. Sometimes it's just through retirement. But, yeah, I mean, just that kind of adds not insult to injury, but it's like it's been a horrible season for you guys. Expectedly, predictably, we knew it. And then you have to, finish out the season with, your franchise cornerstone leaving. Like, I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. Why? Nick says, why do the Rangers give up for Kane? That's the only. Oh, what will they give up? Yeah. So, if you haven't watched it already, I talked about a potential deal that was proposed in The Athletic that involves a third team just taking on some salary. But the writer of that article, and actually even it wasn't Emily Kaplan. It was the New York Daily Post, in addition to The Athletic, was saying that that the Rangers don't want to trade away their remaining first round draft pick. I think that's ludicrous. If you want to get Patrick Kane, of course, like his injury isn't that big of a problem. You have to cough up a first, I believe. Do I live in New York? No, I don't. I live in Idaho. North Idaho. The current situation of the Blues. There we go, Mickey. Good question. Yeah, the Blues, they're ripping off the Band-Aid. I think that's good. I thought they were going to still be a great team this year. Only one of their 920 goal scorers was missing at the start of this year in David Perron. Actually, no, they had a couple injuries, but even so, I thought it was going to be good. Binnington looked like he was back to Winnington, and they fell apart like right away almost. And so I think they're doing what they need to. It's like, look, let's not roll the dice another time. Right now we have some aging veterans, and they're going to be free agents, and they got some assets in return. Not the best return. The O'Reilly deal they got a good return for. So I think that they're doing what's necessary, and they're recognizing that right now versus a team like Pittsburgh or Washington. Washington, of course, trading away Orlov and Hathaway, so they're starting to catch on. And Nashville might be catching on too with this deal. But I have to credit Kevin Cheveldayoff, GM for the Winnipeg Jets. Absolutely. Go Baston. I'll take the Red Sox over the Yankees every day. Lindgren might be on LTIR. Interesting. So is there anybody who comes to mind who New York could go after? Yeah, don't ask a Kings fan if they like the Ducks. Oh, the goalie fight? I remember seeing that too. That was pretty damn funny. By the way, I love your little profile pic. It's a funny ass movie. I love it. Anyway. Do the Penguins look at what Washington did and do the same? Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I'm wondering as well. Because right now, I mean, Buffalo's steady as the course. Detroit has been sizzling recently. So do you want to be this team that's backing your butt into the playoffs only to go up against Boston or Carolina? I don't think so. I know Crosby and Malkin don't want that, though. And you can say that of just about anybody. But who is Pittsburgh going to deal to get the return that they need to help them in the next year or two while Crosby and Malkin are still pretty damn good? That's kind of my hypothetical question for you. Bedard and Fantilli in San Jose. I don't think we can exactly get both of them unless we trade like Carlson and Meier to the same team. That'd be amazing, though. Lieber Hike. If this is speculation, dude, have you checked Twitter? It's official. It is official. Here, you know what? I'm gonna update my title, dude. You know me. You should know. You should know. I'm not the kind of person who's going to, just flutter this out there if we haven't had a legitimate source confirm the deal. And we had Elliot Friedman, and in combination with some other personalities out there, verified folks who work at places like Sportsnet and TSN, confirmed that this is a deal. Jesse Pollock, as we know, what a pickup for the Jets. Niederreiter is a great addition with Cole Perfetti out for 2 months. So that's bumping up right against the playoffs. So that's a good point too. I mean, that was, and again, only coughing up a 2024 second round pick. James Van Riemsdyk, interestingly, is out of the lineup because he's banged up. So again, if your team is looking for wingers, don't count out JVR. He does have a steep cap hit at about $7 million, though. Yep. There we go. Nino Niederreiter traded to the Winnipeg. Oh, we'll just say the Jets. If Bedard goes to the Ducks, deadly in 5 to 10. Oh, No. The Ducks would be deadly for 5 to 10 years. Don't get me started on Bedard and Anaheim though. You guys got to take a big step forward next year. It's time. Got to pull up the big boy pants, right? Jets could still use some defense. Really? I thought they had some pretty good depth though. I mean, I honestly don't watch Winnipeg that much, but like you've got Morrissey who's in the Norris conversation, Nate Schmidt, Dylan DeMello, Brendan Dillon. That's not a bad couple of pairings, right? Bedard's going to go to Chicago. Not if the Hawks keep winning though. Right now, Pionk has been awful this year. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Pionk this year. Let me just take a breath here. Refreshing Twitter every 20 seconds. I hear you, man. I'm right there too. Not just for Kane, but also for Meier. Trouba sucks. Yeah. I don't like Trouba. Anyway, anyone watch last night's game? Okay. That's fair. But yeah, like Colorado's, they're cooking again. It's scary, and they're doing it without Landeskog, right? Should Vegas be in the Central? No, I don't think so, because they're further west than Phoenix is. Let's see here. The tank is on with Kane gone. Absolutely. But the question now, Nick, is who else are you gonna trade away? So like, let's say, I mean, this isn't gonna happen, right? If the Sharks somehow moved Erik Karlsson and Timo Meier, how are they not finishing at least last place in the Western Conference? No Makar either. Yeah, I forgot that he's not even playing right now. Byram, though, it almost looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He's been producing quite a bit. He's really fun to watch. I like him quite a bit. It's crazy, man. That team for the Ducks, pardon. Had some air trapped in me. I can't get it out. You have Makar. He's got to be a future Hall of Famer. Like Devon Taves could actually be a future Hall of Famer. And even Bowen Byram, if he can somehow stay healthy and play like he has, it's like you never know. Washington's Wiggle jersey, I don't love it. I like it. It's a good addition for a team that really just doesn't have the greatest jersey lineup over the last long time, I guess. Kempe over McDavid. Hey, I think Kempe doesn't get enough love though. Of course. Connor Hellebuck was a wall. Yeah, I mean, he could easily be a Vezina finalist this year. It kind of helps that Igor hasn't been quite at the top of his game. Jacob, how you doing? How are you now? Does anyone go for Max Domi? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, he's got the points, obviously. But in terms of like his immediate impact, I think already a lot of people forgot that he went to Carolina last year because he was invisible. So it's got to be probably on a pretty friendly deal for the team that gets him. The nice thing, though, is obviously it's just a rental, though. Also, Dylan was everything the Sharks wanted Rathje to be. Yeah, Dylan was a little bit better of a skater. I haven't met very many hockey players in my life, but I met Mike Rathje one time. Basically, my friend snuck me into a suite, and then Rathje came in mid-game. The guy's huge. He's like 6'6", 6'7", like 250 easily. I mean, I look like such a twig next to him. Jonathan Taves to the Avs. Yeah, sorry about it, but that's not happening. If Nylander leaves the Leafs down the road, would Toronto pick up Max Domi? I mean, it'd be at a much lesser price point, that's for sure. But yeah, Toronto has to do some damage this year. If they can't win at least a round, if they can't, like, I know they have to play Tampa, but they'd have to like play Tampa, and they got to take Boston deep. If that doesn't happen this year, you're like, as soon as we get into the offseason, it's going to be, where's Matthews going at the end of next year? Really, I could see that happening. And Nylander always has the finger pointed to him too, for better or for worse. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here. On the Flyers orange jersey, Wait a second. You mean just like their regular home jersey? They're gonna change. They're actually changing their jerseys next year, which I think that's good. I'm not the biggest fan of like the design of those jerseys, but like they should always be orange. Absolutely. Nobody else wears orange, right? Not like anymore. Like teams wear them as alternates. Like Anaheim does that. We'll make the playoffs and lose in round one. I mean, if I were a betting man, I would still, of course, bet for the Lightning to win against Toronto. The Lightning, just defensively they're a fortress in the playoffs for the most part. They kind of cracked a little bit last year, but not terribly. Blackhawks have the worst top six in the I think no, it's just rage. And speaking of roid rage, by the way, guys, again, I don't know if it's in the video description down below, but if you haven't already, do check out, and let's say you enjoy more than just hockey. You might like a little baseball, a little basketball, and especially if you like football, then boy, do I have a channel for you. And that is my new channel, and that is Sudden Death Sports. I'll put a link here in the Chizat for you guys. I'm putting out these interesting kind of like mini documentary videos. Well, don't worry, this is like just a 10-second plug here. And our new video will drop March 1st. These are totally different than the videos I put out here. And our next video is on one of the dirtiest players in NFL history and maybe in all of sports. So don't miss that. Certainly don't. You definitely want to check that out. Broncos country, says Mickey. By the way, this player that I'm about to talk about, he might have had a little bit to do with the success of the Denver Broncos in the 1990s. Boom. There we go. Conrad, what now? Red Sox are winning the World Series this year. Anybody but the Dodgers and the Yankees. Screw them. But yeah, how far do I think the Kings are going to go? Yeah, the Kings are kind of one of those teams. A lot of the teams in the West, I think, are being counted out, and LA is like historically a team that you don't want to count out. So let's see here. Can I see them winning in the first round against Edmonton? Last year they nearly did it against them, and the Kings are noticeably better. McDavid and Draisaitl were awesome that series, and they barely got past the LA Kings. So I think that LA could easily win around this year. That would be a great step forward for them, in my opinion. And then they got Vegas after that, and Vegas, they're hot right now. But I think that unless they can get a big move or get a big replacement for Mark Stone, I think that they can be defeated. So that could happen. That could definitely happen. S. James, you might be onto something, my friend. They're missing Doughty and Arvidsson. Well, Arvidsson wasn't as much of a factor last year. We got to remember that. But yeah, he's been a lot better this year. And yeah, with Doughty, that absolutely does help. And Fiala, yeah, that's a just perfect point. Kane to the Islanders in a 3-way deal. Lou Lamoriello, he always makes me scratch my head in bewilderment. So maybe so. Hey, look at this. This is amazing. By the way, guys, we never even talked about the Habs' other mascot, Metal. Metal's pretty dope. I like him quite a bit. I don't know why they called him Metal, but Vikings are pretty metal. My favorite band being Amon Amarth, one of them. And they're coming to Spokane, by the way, so I might get a chance to see them over here. Is a Marlowe Thunderbirds? Oh, yeah. Is that a Marlowe Thunderbirds jersey? Yeah, I think so. One of the ultimate hockey gurus, I would say, in Paul Buxton. Somebody who I've met in person. He came over to Spokane because he lives in Seattle. Oh, no. This thing's old school. Oh, he saw it yesterday at the Marlowe alumni game. God, if that is not a thing of beauty. Patty Marlowe, he is having his jersey retired tonight, the first time in San Jose Sharks history. Rick, what's going on? Rick, I keep losing track of who your favorite team is, depending on what your profile pick is. Hawks don't need any more defensive prospects. They need, well, they got Mazer, but they could use a little bit of help at center. That's why I think that they were probably the best team to get Bedard. State of Survival. Sorry if I State of Survival. Isn't that a video game? Wait, was that the video game? I actually got offered a contract, I think, with the dev team for State of Survival or something, some other game kind of like that years ago. So in other words, I almost moved to Seattle. But then I said, all right, here's my rate for the contract. This is what I make with my the mobile game. I used to work for this mobile gaming studio. And then they were like, they didn't respond like ever, except for like 2 weeks later. Jerks. That's what they do. The old Seattle freeze. Anyway, Sorokin can get the Isles into the playoffs. He should win the Hart. I mean, you would think he's probably the front runner for the Vezina Trophy right now, unless you want to say Olmark. But Sorokin, I think, is making a case. But I mean, even if that's the case, right? Do they have enough in their forward group to put a couple goals in the net against Boston? I just don't know, man. I just don't think it's that worth that investment personally. All right. Thank you for your patience here with me. How playoff Copley would look versus playoff Quick. I mean, Quick stepped up last year. He had a terrible regular season, and then he looked pretty good in the playoffs. If that Habs jersey was real, that would be an absolute grail. Yeah, that thing on eBay would be selling probably 1,000 Canadian. It's still Olmark for the Vezina, but the playoffs could change that. Well, I believe that those awards are determined, like the voting actually happens before the playoffs. So playoff performance doesn't have any influence on that. How will the Sharks move forward in goaltending? Oh, buddy, that's a $1 million question in it. It's been a weak spot for long. It was good last year with, like, Reimer was awesome last year, but yeah, other than that, it's been horrible. And yeah, it's just been on the decline pretty much. Yeah, that's a great question. I really don't know because we have what's his face? We have not Magnus. We have a Swedish prospect. We have Ben Gaudreau, but I don't think it's going to be him. Mäkiniemi, could he be an NHL backup? Maybe. Who's the guy? He played for U Denver. Anyway, he's supposed to be pretty legit. Magnus Krona, that's his name. Yeah. So let's kind of give that some time. But the Sharks, they don't need to rush a goaltending prospect to the big leagues just yet. Because let's face it, this team doesn't make the playoffs at least another 3 years. I think it's going to be more like 4 or 5 at least. Strauss, man, yeah. I don't know if he's going to be quite the manhandler out there, but give these guys an audition while the team sucks, certainly. But don't expect them to be the next Sorokin or Shesterkin. Oilers fans think they have a chance for Karlsson when he's 12 per year and they have no cap space. So it's one of those things where you'd have to involve a third party. And I just put out a video 2 days ago or 3, I don't know, that there are anywhere from 5 to 12 teams that would be a cap broker. A team like Arizona has like almost $20 million in cap space. So would they eat it for 4 years? Now, I know somebody argued against this point. Would they eat it for 4 years? Probably not. But if it's a team that does need to rebuild, and Arizona's not going to be good for another 4 years unless they get Bedard. I don't know. You would have to trade away, you'd have to trade maybe Campbell's contract. It could be a bad contract for bad contract sort of situation. And again, the Sharks aren't making the playoffs in the next 3 or 4 years easily. So could they take on Jack Campbell? Sure they could. You got to bundle and pull your Yarvi, maybe bundle in somebody else, maybe on the defense. You might be able to actually make it work. But alas, there hasn't been any talks heating up about that sort of thing. All right. I'm just going to revisit Twitter here a little bit as well. It's 2:30 almost. So I don't have forever. We'll stick around just for a little bit. Nino Niederreiter is a Jet. How about that? As Patrick Kane inevitably becomes a Ranger this weekend, love to know what happened to those concerns about that hip that were part of the justification for making the Tarasenko trade instead. Indeed, good sir. Indeed. All right, just making sure nothing else has been happening. Okay, nothing else is happening right now. Not yet, at least. Hey, Trevor, how you doing? Hope you're having a splendid weekend, good sir. Meier isn't going to be a Shark for long. Yeah, Alex, I agree with you. Timo, he was asked about like a contract extension, if there had been any talks. Timo said nothing's been talked about. Like, he knows he's going to be traded. Arizona doesn't want dead cap. Maybe not for that amount of term. Chikrin, what about this? Will Arizona get the message that what they want, no one wants to pay? Yeah, it's been crazy with how long that's been going on. I thought that deal would have been done the same day, if not the day after. Bissonette saying hearing Kane to the Leafs is no longer on the table. Was it ever really, though? I didn't think so. Timo to New Jersey, please. I mean, that's the front runner. That's the front runner. Because the Jets are now out of the Timo Meier race with this deal, I believe. But Carolina, don't count them out. Best contract in the NHL, and it's Willie Nylander. That's a good troll. I like Nylander a ton too. Just making sure nothing else is happening right now, guys. Kane said the hip wasn't as bad. And yeah, he scored like 7 goals in 4 games. What is cap friendly? If you are asking sincerely, and even if you weren't, I don't care. Here's cap friendly, and this is a great tool. You know, it's not an official NHL website or anything like that, but it's a real-time or pretty much real-time way of tracking how much salary cap teams have available, and it breaks it down by the type of contract, whether players are being injured. It shows you how much longer they have on their contracts. It gives you all the trade history. It has tools where you can like figure out how much it would cost to buy out somebody's contract. I love all of that. Absolutely love all of that. Fouls Popo. And don't forget about Jonas Siegenthaler to add to a trio of twisted twisters. It should be 8 goals in 4 games. I hear you. No way they give up Mercer. Give us Simon Nemetz. We're still open to that quite a bit because we need defensive depth in our prospect pool. It is without question the worst in the NHL. So there you go. I don't think the cap is going up. Heard about the bankruptcy issues. That's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. I don't know if there's been any sort of commitment to raise the salary cap before then, any sort of legal agreement, but that's an interesting point. Looking at the West, it isn't that far-fetched for the Kings to make it to the Cup final. I mean, what's standing in the Kings' way right now, just as things stand, is the Avalanche. Maybe Edmonton if one of their goaltenders can get hot. So yeah, I think that's fair. Will Reimer be dealt? I don't think so. I think his injuries are just amounting to too much. Unless another team out there wants Reimer to kind of be the third goaltender. He just has not been good this year. I hope that he can get moved, but really the opportunity for that was last year. Avs are getting healthy, even without Makar and Landeskog. They're doing some amazing things out there right now. Any words on Carlson? Nothing. That trail has kind of faded, to be honest. Canucks have the worst defense in the NHL. It was actually pretty good last year, though. Like statistically, it was only 7th or something. If Arizona gets Bedard, do I think Matthews will think about heading there? Don't rule out. I hate to this is crazy. Don't rule out Matthews next year trying to sign in Vegas because they could still use some center depth. Eichel has not been the answer there. I know they have lots of injury problems though. But yeah, I think Matthews could still go to Vegas, believe it or not. even though they're going to be in cap hell eventually. Last year, yeah, I think so. Last year was kind of crappy for the Sharks, not really having a firm general manager, right there in person. Matthews is a Nick. Speaking of the Knicks, there was a great time to watch Knicks basketball when they might have had a Hall of Famer on their team and might have been able to play some good defense. They had quite a rival at that time too. Actually, a couple of them. Be something interesting to explore. Maybe on a sports channel that's not Twister Wrister Hockey. The Nino Niederreiter's term? Yeah, he's got 1 year left at 1 million, or excuse me, not 1 million. He's got 1 year left at $4 million. So the Jets, they can hang on to them or onto him. They could trade him away in the offseason. Like, they got him for a great deal, just a second round draft pick for 2024, by the way, too. Oh, Bill, what's going on? How you doing, man? Hey, I'm sure you're doing pretty well with how Colorado's playing recently. Eklund's now top 3 points among AHL rookies. I love seeing that. I've got my doubts about Eklund, to be honest, but it's good that he's had a good full season on North American ice. So that's great. Sacramento Kings, yeah. I thought maybe for sudden death at one point talking about the Kings and Lakers rivalry, because that was a great one too, and there was certainly some controversy. Will Vancouver tank for Bedard? I think they might want to trade out one other big name out there if they want to really get into the final 3 or 4 teams, but that's basically kind of what they're doing, I think. Holtz, Zetterlund, and Sharangovich. I like Sharangovich. I like the edge that he plays with. And Holtz, Mukhamadulin's. If you're gonna give us like Holtz among forwards, and we got to get another prospect in there as well. Let's say you want to sign Timo Meier long term. Give us. I think you've probably heard me say this like 15 times, but like, could I take Holtz, a first, and Shakir Mukhamadullin? Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, hey guys, I really wish that I could continue this, but first of all, I'm a little bit gassed. And second of all, I got to take Cortana for her walk as we rehab her knee. But anyway, make sure you're notified. Hit the bell because we're going to be talking more trade deadline, especially as big moves happen. Who knows if there's a big move that happens ahead of this game between the Sharks and the Blackhawks? I could definitely consider doing that. State of survival. I'm a Sharks fan. Diehard Sharks fan. Grew up 60 minutes south of San Jose. Just FYI. Yeah, John Starks and Patty. I didn't know John Starks was such that guy did not take any crap out there. Awesome player. Anyway. Yeah, and guys, hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. So hit the bell, subscribe if you're new here and want more coverage. We'll also upload some videos now and then. And again, make sure you are locked into Sudden Death Sports. All right, guys. So, and by the way, if you want to support the channel even further, we have memberships. There's more information about that below if you tap join. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here on this beautiful Saturday, at least beautiful here in North Idaho, good old Gem State. And I will talk to you again real soon. Who knows? Maybe even tonight.